Joining us now, House of Delegates member Terry Kilgore, and he's got a lot to say about getting back to school, the area that he represents. Not everybody has high-speed broadband. Some people don't even have cell phones there in his district. Delegate Kilgore, great to have you with us.
Oh, great to be with you, John, and great to hear about the summer your son's having. Sounds like a great summer.
Well, he's off to a good start. Your district, what's the deal with opening up schools there?
Well, we've got to get our kids back to school. You know, my wife's a teacher, my daughter's a teacher. I'm hearing from parents daily about the need to get back to school, and the CDC, if you listen to the experts, John, this really doesn't have a lot of effect on kids, and we're just going to have to get our kids back into school. I mean, that's what we need to do. We've got to make sure that our kids, and especially in the rural areas, have the ability to get that education. As you said, a lot of students in the rural areas of Virginia do not have the high-speed internet and have been left behind during this whole crisis. So we got to get back to school.
The thing is, you can't learn distance-wise, and you got a lot of these rural districts. Like we had Morgan Griffith on the other day. He's like, there's a percentage of my district where he said, forget high-speed internet. They don't even have a cell phone. Oh, they possibly learn. My own son, 30 years old, Jack, teaches high school, and he's a football and basketball coach in Mississippi in the Delta, which is one of the poorest areas in the country. And he's telling me that up to 35% of his students have no internet. They don't have any. I mean, forget broadband, zero. So he's like driving to their homes, dropping off packets. I mean, you can't learn in that environment.
No, and I think we just got to get schools back opening, and we also for those school districts that don't want to open, that's fine, but let the school divisions, especially in the rural areas of Virginia where the COVID-19 hasn't really hit that bad, let us go ahead and open and do what, and let our school boards, our elected school boards, do what they think is right and move forward.
The Governor Northam, has relaxed some of his edicts, and he's leaving it up to a lot of individual school districts. How can we get schools open in Virginia? What's the governor's role? Is he standing in the way? Outline that for us, Delegate Kilgore.
I think he clearly is standing in the way because we're not getting the exact message from the governor's office that we need to move forward. Some days it's we're not going to do this, and the other days, well, you can do this, and it's hard. It's hard for school divisions, their superintendents and school boards to figure out what the true message or what the message is going to be tomorrow. So, I would advise Governor Northam, if I was on his staff, to just be clear, concise, set out a plan to reopen schools and move forward. That's what we have to do.
How do you get there? So basically, I mean, it's July 9th. I would like to see schools in Virginia, all of them open by the latest September 8th. I think that should be the goal, and it should be 5 days a week and get kids in school every day, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 8 to 3, whatever it is. Start with your district first, Delegate, and then we'll work out Delegate Terry Kilgore with us. In your district, what is the process that you and your supporters and parents have to go through now to get schools open in September?
Well, I think we have to have, according to the governor's office and the Department of Education, you got to have a plan. I think our school divisions are working on a plan. I've talked to a few of our school superintendents, or all of our 3 school superintendents and 4 in my area, that and they're coming up with their plan. And I think, they're coming up with a two days on, 1 day off, 2 days in. Some of them are, but all of them would much rather do a 5-day plan with cleaning, with staff night and things. I think we can get there. We just have to allow the school divisions that leeway to get there. But and as we move forward, as we move eastward, toward Richmond or toward Northern Virginia, I realize it may be a little bit different there, but I think that's something that we need to look at and try to figure out, how is the delivery of education going to be different, for example, in a Fairfax County or in Norfolk or in Virginia Beach. So I think we can have different sets of plans. So we just got to allow our local school divisions to make those choices.
Here's my position. Now, I just want to get your thoughts on it. Delegate Terry Kilgore with us, Southwest Virginia. If a school doesn't want to open, and I want my child to get an education, I'm paying property taxes, and I don't want to do homeschool with it. I just want them to go to school. Doesn't that district owe me a detailed explanation with science and data backing the decision up? Don't they owe me that?
Absolutely, they owe you that. And I think if school does not go back in session, I think you're going to see a lot of parents that are upset. I think you're going to see a lot of folks that are asking those questions, and those questions are going to have to be answered because we have to move forward in society. COVID-19, yes, it's been bad, but we have to move forward, not only opening schools, but opening up businesses and getting back to our lives.
I hope the president keeps moving forward on this. And we absolutely demand, if school's not going to be open 5 days a week and it's going to be different, then I want to know why. I want to know what the science is. I want to know what the data is. I want to know what the economics are. I want to know everything that's gone into the decision, because right now the only thing going into the decision to keep schools closed, in my judgment, is a political calculation to hurt Trump. Don't open schools, don't have high school football, not as many people get jobs, no back-to-school supplies, not as much economic activity, no high school football in these communities. People get very depressed. I mean, look, Terry, in the areas that you represent, on Friday night, there's high school football games that are drawing 8, 10, 15,000 people. I went to a game in Salem. It's unbelievable. Basically, you're going to cut that out. You cut out all the economic activity that goes with it, but you cut out the soul of the community. That's what people that don't follow high school football in the South, that they don't understand. I mean, this isn't like playing it in Trenton, New Jersey. You're in the rural South. High school football is a big deal. It's where people get together. They have fun. With 10, 12, 15,000 people, the whole community's involved. Kids are trying to get scholarships. You take that out, people get depressed, right?
Oh, right, absolutely. In my part of Virginia and our part of Virginia, high school football on Friday nights, that's big. I try to hit, a couple on every Friday night. It's a huge crowd, a huge, the community's all behind the local team. The streets are rolled up in the towns, and everybody's at the game. So it's going to be, it's big and it's important for the community, but it's also important for the community to get back to the academics, get back to the learning, get back. We've got to keep help the next generation of leaders in this country. We've got to educate those leaders, and we've got to get them in a workforce. So that's what's very important.
If I'm a parent, any parent listening to us now that wants the kids to go back to school, and you're an elected official in Virginia, and right now if you go to especially Northern Virginia, those schools are not going to open. No question about it. I was in Fairfax Tuesday. They're not going to open. I mean, in fact, the teachers sent, the teachers and the teachers union, sent a letter to the school board saying that it would put their lives at risk, et cetera, et cetera. Not going to happen. Football's not going to, none of that's going to happen. So if you're a parent, what do you do, Terry Kilgore?
Well, you talk to your school board member, you talk to your local delegate, you talk to your local senator, you just make all the contacts. You get a group of people together, form a parents group to go to the meetings. You just got to move forward with letting those elected officials and those appointed officials know how you feel about school being reopening. The one item that no one's considering here, John, is what happens when the money dries up? What happens when you have to quit paying teachers at some point in time because you're not having school because, you don't have the money to pay those teachers. What's going to happen then?
Well, I think that's the question. I mean, why are you paying people not to work? I don't get that. And the president's already said that he's considering pulling funding, education funding for states where the federal government is a contributor. I mean, I'm not sure that he's ever going to get there or do that, but it certainly is something to talk about. I mean, if you're trying to teach class on a Zoom platform for another semester is a death knell to a lot of these kids that can't get a fair and honest education out of their school system. You're paying these taxes. So I think you're right. Parents have to go ballistic over this because at the end of the day, if they're going to vote the school board out, that's the only thing these people understand is getting voted out. But if parents don't say anything,
that's exactly right.
If parents are saying, hey, I don't want to send my kid to school either, I'd rather them, stay home and play video games than maybe get the virus or something, even though, there's no science or data that shows anything is going to happen to them or not recover. I mean, right now, the number of kids under 18 who have died from this virus is under a normal influenza season. So there is zero risk, basically. But that doesn't matter because if you close schools, you don't get the economic activity. Mom and dad can't go back to work. You don't have high school football. It all leads to Biden winning some of these swing states. And so it's all a political calculation. And the fact that the Democrats are using your kids as pawns in a political battle like collateral damage, isn't that sick?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, and you hit the nail on the head, you've got two parents working out there and no child care. What do you do for child care? Who stays home with the child or children during this pandemic? Who stays there and who loses their job? And, hopefully we're getting back to work. So what does that do? I mean, you think about places like Northern Virginia. You think about you think about other parts of the state, rural Virginia. Who stays home and where's the child care? And how's that going to work? Do you send children to child care where they just have as much chance of getting it as child care as they would at school? So, what do you do?
Well, it's a sad situation. John Fredericks Radio Network, we're with House of Delegates member, Southwest Virginia, Terry Kilgore. And, it's like I got a text here from Colonel Mike in West Virginia who says, what happens when you don't pay property taxes? They take your home and throw you on the street. I mean, so
exactly.
They have to pay the property taxes. The majority of the property taxes are supposed to go to educating your children, and now they don't want to do that, but they still want to get paid. And the whole thing has been politicized beyond recognition. Let's get to the governor and the future here. The governor going into is kind of his lame duck session in 2020 coming up. Delegate, a lot of people very frustrated. I'm just going to be candid. A lot of people are frustrated in Virginia that there's no Republican opposition and that the Republicans are not even fighting the governor on anything. I mean, Todd Gilbert, his team sends a tweet out like every couple weeks. It's, where they send a press release out that's like 2 sentences. So as a Republican here in Virginia, you're looking at this, and there's basically no opposition. There's no pushback, none from Tommy Norment, none from your leader. There's no Republican Party of Virginia. Who's leading the opposition, sir?
Well, we are going to have to step up, and we're going to have to step up. I think you're going to see us step up during this special session where we're having a special session on crime issues and the budget issues coming up probably right after Labor Day. We are going to have to really step up. And you are right. We have no Republican Party. We're just it's just been nuts the way our Republican Party has been handled. I just cannot get over some of the things that have happened with our party, and they have to. We've got to set that straight and right that ship and move forward with our party. As Ronald Reagan said, we can't. 90. If you agree with me, 90%, you're my friend. We have to be the big tent party that Ronald Reagan talked about, and not what's been happening with our party. Other states with the same demographics, John, are winning. Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, they win elections. We can win elections in Virginia. We just got to be more focused and more organized.
Well, right now we're doing nothing. There's no opposition.
Right.
But it is interesting, Delegate Kilgore. It'll be interesting to see what the Republicans do in that special session that's going to be after Labor Day if they cave again, because, no matter what reason you have it, all kinds of left-wing whack job stuff is going to come down the pike there, and the governor's going to be behind it because he's beholden to them. So it'll be interesting to see then you've got, Democrats like McClellan and Jennifer Foy running for governor, so you get, the politics injected in it. So it's going to be interesting to see. What goes. By the way, for the record, just because I was right again, it's unbelievable. My winning streak is. Are you tired of winning with me yet? Because it's just getting old. It really is. Just for the record, I endorsed. I was an enthusiastic backer of Terry Kilgore for minority leader, and he got beat by Todd for that. And I think if you look at what is coming out of the Republican House leadership right now, there's basically no opposition. They're doing nothing. And I think if Terry was there, they'd be putting up a much bigger fight right now. So, Terry, sorry you got beat, but I was proud to be on the team.
Right, and we're working as a team. We're gonna try to. I think you'll see us really step up during this session and during next session in January. The future of the Commonwealth depends on us stepping up and calling our colleagues out on some of these crazy ideas.
All right. House of Delegates member, Southwest Virginia, Terry Kilgore. Keep fighting, sir. Let's get these schools open. Thanks for your time today. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you, John.